Well, let's start now with our leading story this afternoon. President Donald Trump has reported that Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been captured and was removed from the country. A U.S. attack on the country in the early morning struck civilian areas, and Venezuela is still compiling information about dead and injured people. The Venezuelan government does not know the whereabouts of Maduro or his wife, Cilia Flores. Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said on Saturday morning in an audio also played out on state TV and demanded proof of life. For more on this, we are now joined by Director of RiskRecon, Dr. Kingsley Makhubela. Dr. Makhubela, very good afternoon to you. And as I said earlier on, happy New Year to you. Just going into this story, I mean, it was just a matter of when, wasn't it? I mean, let's start with some context. Venezuela frames this particular U.S. strike as an oil-driven imperialist intervention. What's at the heart of these U.S. strikes?
Good afternoon, Unati, and Happy New Year to you too. You know, at the heart of this strike has been the argument that the Americans have been making in the last few months about the access of the Venezuelan oil. President Trump has made it quite clear that they are going to take their resources back. So at the heart of this is the Venezuelan oil. But at the strategic level, Unati, you may have seen the national security strategy that really goes back to the Monroe Doctrine, which really emphasizes absolute control and the sphere of the American control in the Western Hemisphere. And the Americas has been defined as the only American sphere of interest. So the United States will not tolerate any force or any power that may contest the United States supremacy. In this case, it's quite clear that that has to do with the broader and the bigger geopolitical strategic interests of the United States.
Yeah. Venezuela has now invoked Article 51 of the UN Charter, the right to self-defense. Historically, how often has this article been successfully used, and also under what conditions, as we also, of course, monitor the UN Security Council?
Onati, Article 51 is a collective security article of the UN Charter. It actually invokes that you can invite your friends to come to your defense. So that's what essentially Article 51 is all about. Is Venezuela likely to invite any of the friends that it has to come to its defense? It's something that we need to see. It's too early really to determine what direction will this conflict be taken, because the United States have not yet committed boots on the ground to. It seems they've carried out a blitz attack on specific target with the sole purpose of taking out President Maduro, as President Trump announced in his social media that they've taken President Maduro and his wife out. So there hasn't been any confirmation so far. President Trump will be addressing the media, I think 11 o'clock in Mar-a-Lago, which is about 7 o'clock in the evening here. So we are yet to get more details, and the proof of the capture will be shown. Earlier on, Unati, there was a report also that the Minister of Defense, General Lopez, was killed, but it turns out that he's still alive. He's issued out some statements. So between now and I would say, Unati, in the next 6 hours, fake news is going to really wreak havoc. We're going to be inundated with a lot of fake news. It will be difficult to confirm now that the US is not communicating and the Venezuelan government are not communicating for understandable reasons. So there will be a lot of fake news, and I'm sorry that we're going to run into a merry-go-round to try to verify some of the information that is coming out. It will be very important also to verify what we are sharing with the public in the next few hours.
Yeah, because, I mean, ultimately, these are still claims until those verifications are made, particularly given the fact that U.S. President Donald Trump went onto his Truth Social and it didn't necessarily come from Washington. Now, some experts are warning that these U.S. actions could lead to years of chaos in the region. Why would Trump be so bullish then on Venezuela And how, just looking at this action, how would, Venezuela's allies respond, and in fact should respond, the likes of Russia, China, and even Iran?
Unati, the Chinese had a special envoy. We had a meeting yesterday with
Yeah.
Maduro, and they were due to depart today. So we are yet to hear the views of the Chinese in terms of this. The Russians haven't commented too. So I think they are all trying to gather as much information as possible before they make any pronouncements. The Security Council, the president of Colombia has requested an urgent meeting of the Security Council to discuss this matter. So we will see what will transpire moving forward. South African government hasn't issued out any statement too. Correctly so, maybe they are trying to get a better understanding about what's going on too. So you're going to see a lot of reluctance by governments to issue out statements on the basis of absence of information. Even the international media has been struggling to get verification because the US government has decided to speak indirectly to two media houses, NBC and Fox News. So even them, they are not giving the details of what's going on. So we will see once the US government has decided to openly communicate. But I would really be hesitant to think that President Trump will issue out a statement that they have taken out President Maduro, which is not factual. I think he must be having all his details, all his ducks in place to issue out the statement. He will not willy-nilly issue the statement without any detailed information given to him.
And in fact, he is going to be holding that press conference later today. We understand it will be at 4 p.m. GMT. I would imagine that's 6 p.m. Central African time. About the developments, he will be holding these at his Mar-a-Lago private estate in Palm Beach. If it is in fact true what he has said on his social media page that Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro has been captured together with his wife and removed out of that country, what does that mean really? What is likely then to happen?
Unati, it's a clear violation of international law. There's no Security Council resolution that has been taken that President Maduro must be removed from power. It's a unilateral decision by the United States. The US has done this in the past. You recall, Unati, when Manuel Noriega was taken out of Panama and taken to the US to stand trial on allegations of drug charges. So we're seeing the similar playbook now being used against Maduro, because if you look at the statement of President Trump, he says this operation was carried out together with law enforcement, meaning that once he lands in the US soil, they'll start to read him his charges, or on the wife the charges, and they'll probably stand trial in the United States. Irrespective of the global outcry, the Americans are not going to care about that. They've done it before, and they'll continue to do this, particularly in areas that they think are the spheres of their influence. So they're unlikely to listen to any voices.
Yeah, and what then will likely happen in as far as the UN Security Council is concerned? Because in situations like this, one would imagine that immediate session would then be taking place.
Colombia has requested an urgent meeting. Usually an urgent meeting takes place within 24 hours.
Yeah.
So this meeting may likely take place tomorrow. I don't know if there will be a resolution circulated, but the United States still holds a veto power within the Security Council. Even the statement by the president of the Security Council, which so happened to be this time around Somalia, I don't think they will likely issue out a statement. They may speak about the fact that the meeting convened, but an official statement and any form of condemnation, it's unlikely to happen, given the veto of the United States. But I think China and Russia would, at their own level, issue out a strong-worded statement, given the fact that they've been having problems. I mean, China imports about 20% of its oil from Venezuela. So seeing this happening, China is totally unsettled by this behavior.
Yeah.
You have seen some ships that have been taking oil in and out, the Chinese and the Russians, they have been interfered with by the Americans. So this is really a very a precarious solution. My only fear is that what the Americans have done is an aberration of international law. They've set up a precedent that really would be unmatched anyway. But the question is, are we seeing the collapse of international law? If nothing is to happen, quite honestly, a lot of questions is going to be raised about the viability of international law and who stands by this international law, who respect this international law.
Yeah.
Particularly powerful countries that are supposed to be the underwriters of international law, if they are the very same countries that are violating international law, it's going to raise serious challenges about multilateralism and international law moving forward.
Especially on the inactive part, because we have seen Russia and as well as China's, allies being attacked by the U.S. And whilst there was strong condemnation, nothing tangible has really been done by those two countries. So it raises a lot of questions in terms of if there is inaction, where do you think then, Trump will strike next?
Onet, you're absolutely correct. You may have seen during Netanyahu's meeting in Mar-a-Lago with Trump, he was speaking about Venezuela being the hotbed for Hezbollah and Hamas and so on. And he was urging Trump to take out Maduro. So was that a diversion? Because it seems Netanyahu is desperate to launch an attack on Iran. And all the facts and the analysis that is coming out now, it's quite clear that in the next few weeks, if not days, you may start to see an attack on Iran by Israel. Will the United States participate in that? They may do that, because now the expectation is that the U.S. can't carry on with two conflicts at the same time, but they are likely to do that. So everyone will be very much on alert in terms of this. There have been U.S. reconnaissance planes spotted around the Persian Gulf. So we're holding our fingers. The world is becoming much more precarious. 2026 narrative seems to be starting with a very bad omen of conflict. You have another conflict that is taking place in Yemen between the Saudi Arabia and Yemen, and the conflict between Saudi Arabia and UAE. So we are seeing multiple conflicts emerging, excuse me, just at the beginning of 2026. So I don't know what we're going to see moving forward.
Absolutely. It's quite strong words there, and not very positive sentiments being shared all around, depending on who we speak to. But thank you so much, Dr. Makhubela, for your time. That is Dr. Kingsley Makhubela, Director of RiskRecon. All right, as we continue, of course, to give you some of the top stories that have been really at the center of news in the past week, we'll also continue to give you the developing stories on the international field as well. We take a quick break. We'll be back with more news after this. Stay with us.